So here we go then, folks. We've got a package. It's come all the way from America. I've wanted to do this to a Volvo 740 long before I even owned a Volvo 740. Let's get into it. So of course, the first thing we need to do is take out the old lights, which I'm a bit sad about, to be honest, because I do really like the front end of these cars as they are, but of course, hopefully we're going to improve it even more. It's also a bit of a shame because I just got the headlamp wipers working after 2 years or more. There's a couple of you watching that will remember when I bought this car, and on the day I bought it, I broke it before I'd even started to fix anything. And yeah, it's been like that for the last 2 years, and a couple of days ago I finally fixed it. Yeah, anyway, let's crack on. One simple 10mm on the back of there. So I need to check about that bracket because of course we need that to put the grille in, so that must have to attach. For the lights themselves, it was just 4 bolts or 4 nuts. At least this part, fortunately, is just a bolt up job. No modification required, which is always really nice, isn't it? So we'll take this off and we'll try and make that fit because that's really important, isn't it? So I will definitely be taking these out again in a couple of months because it will never go through the German inspection. A modification like this. Most importantly, I need to change the actual light units themselves to conform with the standards here. But even just generally, the actual modification itself and the indicators and other things like that, technically, I don't think any of it's allowed. Certainly even just changing anything on the car needs to be approved and needs to be checked. So come inspection time in a couple of months, I'm probably just going to take them out and just bolt up my old lights because it's quite an easy thing to do. I don't even think we need to make any modifications to the wiring, so but we'll get to that. Yeah, but when I take them out in a couple of months for the inspection, that will then be the opportunity to replace this and any other bits that need replacing, and really importantly, get a fresh lick of paint onto this backing plate here, this base or whatever you call it, this frame, because obviously we don't want it to deteriorate over time, especially with the salt they use here. So yeah, we'll definitely give them a respray when they come out next time. At the moment, I just want to get them fitted because I'm even just going to fit them with these cracked lights because I just want to make sure it all goes on, see how it looks, and just give it a test run. I'm like a kid at Christmas. I can't wait. I definitely don't have the patience to wait, and definitely not waiting for paint to dry. So yeah, we'll just chuck them on for now, see how it looks, and then in a couple of months I'll go over and just not restore them, but give them a bit more TLC. So let's carry on. So there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts in there with nuts. Actually, sorry, no, 3 bolts, and then the thread off the back of this reflector goes right the way through, and then you put another nut on the back. So yeah, I think we're good to go. So let's get the light bucket things in there and see how that looks. So it's these things here, the old sealed beams. So what we've got is basically like a bucket thing, and then this part inside is all one thing, which I can show you here. And now normally these would be together, that would be sealed together like that, and this is one complete glass thing. This is basically like a giant bulb. It's all glass. The terminals go through it, and you can see the bulb in there, like the filament type thing. It's just one complete unit, and you replace it, the whole thing. And I stumbled across something that really blew my mind, actually. So when you see these quad headlights, obviously it's the American front end of the Volvo 740, and it's a very American look. It makes you think of an American car, doesn't it? And you think about a lot of other American cars that look very similar at the time. But they didn't just look similar. These sealed beams, and they came in 4 different types. So there was round ones, there was 2 types of round ones, there was 2 types of rectangle ones. There's like a small and a large size. Started off with the round ones, of course, back in the day, and then it moved over to the rectangle ones in 2 sizes. Every single car in America had to have these lights. It's not just that they all looked quite similar at the time, they all had exactly the same lights with exactly the same measurements. But yeah, these sealed beams are terrible, so I do need to change them at some point. I am going to install them today. I tested these bulbs and they work, all 4 of them work. So he's chucked in some wiring. Now yes, it does look atrocious, but the worst part is this part, which we don't need, and it really is quite awful. But I think we can get rid of this, get rid of that. So that's the piece that we were sent with the headlights. I've unplugged the headlight from here. This goes to a connector which then goes to one of these inside the other headlight for the H4. But we can literally plug it in and plug it into the headlights. Some of you are probably thinking, nah, it can't be that easy. I almost couldn't believe it myself. We have light. Bulbs. Now, he sent me one bulb holder, because that's all that was with it. That was all the lights came with. And it's in quite bad shape as well, as you can see. But of course, we've got bulb holders, spare bulb holders. These aren't from this car, they're from the 740, the red one that I recently took to pieces. But yeah, I got a few of these kicking around, but of course they're the wrong ones. It's the most frustrating thing. So if we take out one of the connectors, the plug is the same. It's just too big and it doesn't fit. The tabs inside would fit in there, but the whole thing is too wide to fit in there. I've tried to find the correct bulb holders here in Europe and you can't get them anywhere. It's a nightmare. We're going to have to do some modification. I think it's the only way. We're going to have to try and modify these to fit in there. So first thing we can do is get rid of this rubber seal. So I tried to keep the tabs so that it would go in and twist, but I don't think they're long enough. I think I'd have to trim this second part down as well to be able to push it in far enough for the tabs to clear the inside lip and then go in and twist. To be honest, that's a tight fit. Trimming that down to a tight fit, it kind of holds itself anyway. It's a push fit, but like I'm pulling on it there and it won't come out. I actually have to use force to remove it. It's not just going to fall out. I think that will be good enough until I can eventually find the correct bulb holder from somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. So you'll have to ignore the headlamp washer modes are dangling there like a piece of poop. But yeah, and also the bumper's a little bit wavy because I got crashed into once. We need to sort that out, but yeah, apart from that, and obviously possibly tweaking the headlamps a little bit to straighten them out. Finally got an American front 740. Well, almost, but I'm glad I did it this way so you can see the side-by-side comparison. It's a good way to test it, isn't it? I've never even seen a picture of it like this with one US and one Euro. Importantly, I've got to get Miss Involvo'd's opinion, because if she doesn't like them, it could be a problem. Let's see what I've done to your Elsa.
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
I get where you're coming from.
Yeah?
It does look American.
Does look American.
It changes her face.
Does, doesn't it? A lot.
She looks a bit serious. I like the chrome, like that, so much chrome.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my favourite parts about it.
Well, yeah, I don't dislike it. I wouldn't say that you have to take it off again.
Oh yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for.
And to actually keep them secure, because all the clips are broken or missing, basically, what we need to do cable tie on the top, and then we got one that comes in from the bottom tab on the chrome, comes up through the cutout there, and then the top part comes over the frame there, and that will hold it against the frame. That's not going anywhere. So I always preferred this car without the Lambda Sond badge, but now that we've got the quads in, let's give it a little test run, see how it looks. I do really want to spray this grille silver. I think it will look a lot nicer. Does look nice with the badge, doesn't it? I definitely want a silver grille. For some reason, everyone that ever does this, they always do a black egg crate, which I think defeats the purpose of having the chrome lights. Maybe they feel like they need to get rid of some chrome after adding chrome just to balance things out, but I think to a point, more chrome the better, really. So this would normally go to there for the indicator, but we need to bring the indicator down here. So I need to cut this, I need to extend the wires. I should have got black and green, but I've got red and black instead, which is fine, I think. We'll extend that. I've got these snazzy little heat shrink, but like solder they're not just a normal heat shrink, they're like a solder thing. They're like an all-in-one. We'll give them a go anyway. Yeah, and we'll just extend the wiring down to there, and that's it. And then the other one can stay where it is, of course, because it would be the usual side light one, so that will go where the indicator one would, or where the side one would go anyway. Let's do it. So I'm going to try one of these connectors now. It says to use a heat gun, but hopefully a lighter will work. So we need to, crusty fingers, it's there. Both together, next to each other. I tried to do it without melting it, but yeah, when I actually put the heat directly to the solder, I saw the solder melt. It just went proper liquid and then melted around the two wires, so it's essentially soldered them together. And then obviously the heat on the plastic here has shrunk it and sealed it to stop any water getting in. I know it's not a very good job. I need to obviously practice that, but I will put a bit of electrical tape around it as well. But I can't pull that apart now, and that's sealed. So there we go. Obviously a little bit trickier to do it down here on the car side because I didn't have much wire to play with. Yeah, it would have been good for a laugh watching me do that, because it did catch fire at one point and was quite a lot more difficult. But yeah, I think it's good enough, and with nice tight wrap of electrical tape. I always use really good, well, I use a decent brand electrical tape as well, because it's a bit like vice grips. A cheap one, and even these connectors things, cheap ones are just going to ruin your day. But really good electrical tape, when it's really stretchy and elasticy, beautiful. But cheap hard stuff makes you just go crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to use a little bit of that around, and I'll do a light wrap at intervals as well, just to keep it together. I'm not going to wrap all the way down, it just looks terrible, doesn't it? But I'll do a couple of bands just to keep the wires together. Obviously I'll go over where I've done my, whatever you call that, there, and then yeah, we'll be good to go. But first we'll actually test to see if this works. It looks much better to the eye than it does on the camera here, but you get the idea. Really nice. What do you guys think? I think she looks amazing. I think she looks so good now.
So high buck bulk carrier or not, the Volvo 740-760 wagon looks like a big hit.